Welcome to our new feature from the Europe Institute Berlin. My name is Axel Fersen. Now a book is being published in English with the title The World We Want to Live in. This is a compendium on the subject of digitalization, networking, and artificial intelligence. In this context, I interview the editors, and today I'm talking to Frank Schmiedchen. I welcome Frank Schmiedchen. He is one of the authors and co-editors of this book. Frank, please tell me a little about yourself and explain me about your content in this book.
Yeah, thank you, Axel. Yeah, my name is Frank Schmiedchen. I'm a member of the advisory board of the Federation of German Scientists, and I'm leading a research team on digitization for this federation. And we have written a book about a compendium about digitization, networking, and artificial intelligence. Myself, in this book, I've concentrated on transhumanism, posthumanism, and more philosophical questions about the relationship between human beings and technology. But my other research field is all what has to see with the socio-economic developments, especially we in Germany are talking about the fourth industrial revolution as a concept, and I would be very happy to tell you a bit about that.
What is so dramatic about this fourth industrial revolution?
So dramatic as it is the greatest structural change we've seen since the middle of the 19th century. That is the main reason why, since 5 years, I entered strongly into research activities and also political activities to talk about what's going on until 2035, which is the period where industrialized countries will see all these changes mainly ending. So that is we're still in the beginning, in the first phase, let's say. And this disruptive change covers all areas, even those that could not be automated before. And above all, and that is the important issue, is it links digitally everything with each other. So we have a huge, more or less boundless network of everything. This is taking place as a disruptive technology and transformation process that is completely changing our way of production. So how production is carried out, and thus that means also that our competitive situation is changing strongly. What else can I tell you? It is network digitization and the use of artificial intelligence in production and services is having already, but it will have much more massive impact on all structures and processes of the economy in the 21st century. Maybe not everybody who's listening us is aware about what does it mean and what's going on there. And so with a few words, the driver of this industrial revolution is this process of comprehensive digitization of all stages of the production process, which means for the first time, starting from suppliers, from resources, until going to the client, all logistics, all administrative processes. Everything is not only digitalized, but also brought into a digital network. So we start something where machines are going to communicate with machines, and they are learning from all the data material. They're fishing day by day. So that is a new quality through the access of a huge amount of real data and interactive applications, the man-machine communication as well as the machine-machine communication is leading us to a really new step.
Frank, one question. You speak in your book about the topic of reshoring. What is that? What does it mean? Sounds like Europe first.
No, it is not a political objective. It is more consequence of technological and market process, which is going on without any coordination. It is not that somebody is planning that industries or fabric factories are coming back to the main countries. Tell you a little bit about that. It is every enterprise is taking its own decision with regard to that. But since 2012, we have seen a process where world industrial production has been growing faster than world trade. I repeat, it is in the time of globalization. So after 1980, every year, world trade was growing faster than world production, which means that all the production process was globalized. So more and more trade has taken place. And since 2012, this process is coming to an end. And relatively, not absolutely, but relatively, even going to the other direction, which means that in comparison to the world industrial production, the world trade is shrinking. It is not shrinking in absolute terms, but it's relatively shrinking. And this means that a lot of what have to seen with political challenges, with resilience, and the two new developments, one linked to this fourth industrial revolution and the other is linked to the corona pandemic. You see that their political leaders all over the world, they want to make their value chains and their supply chains much more resilient. So this alone would lead us to a partial deglobalization, for example, when it comes to medicines or whatever. Yeah, but when we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, it's a different process. There are more and more really robot factories, which are close to 100% autonomous. It doesn't make sense to have these factories in Bangladesh or Ethiopia and other countries also planet. And it makes more sense to be close to your client markets and to be in countries, production countries where energy supply, for example, is 100% safe, where the framework conditions, the tax conditions are safe. And that leads to a process where industry is coming back to China, to the United States, and to the European Union. And we will have 3 centers on Earth with regard to that.
Another topic of your content was the cooperation between small and mid-sized companies. Could you give us an example?
It is important to understand that what is needed now are strong, heavy investments in not only for industrial enterprises, also for service enterprises, trade enterprises. And because of that, but not only because of that, more than in the past, important that especially small and medium-sized companies are cooperating and that they build functional industry networks for purchasing, for logistics, for marketing and sales to leverage synergies and to get a relevant scale. Because the opponent, the competitors of these companies are the platform economy in the Bay of San Francisco or in China. So you have a monster which is competing with you because there are 2 possibilities of further development of most of the branches and most of the parts of industry. Or one possibility is that big platforms, huge monopolistic platforms, they're contracting small, medium-sized enterprises, which would make them depending from them. The market power lays with the big platforms and they can dictate prices and with that wealth. And the other way around is enterprises which are capable to produce things and to sell things. They cooperate, they come together and they build their platform, own platform and branches up. It is possible and that's an important issue.
Got the idea. Thank you very much. I have a last question for you because this is an introduction. So this is only get some ideas and there's the book. So we will have much more information and more detailed information. Now to the last point. What are the strengths and weaknesses of the European Union compared to China and the US?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. There are two possibilities to answer. One is the normal, talking about values and also that we have a different, more human-oriented approach. That is nice, but that will not hinder to lose this competition. The reason why the European Union is not going to lose is because they have very different strengths in a lot of niches, but not only niches. I will mention some. For example, you know that in the United States and China, they have very big, very successful business-to-client platforms, especially in the trade area. That is not the case in the European Union. But for example, the biggest platform in agriculture and alimentation is a European one. When it comes to smart farming, it is a European, especially one European company, but there are some around, also European companies who are really dominating world market. When it comes to medicine data, health data, the biggest private collector of health data is a European company, not American or Chinese one. And when it comes to technology, especially when we talk about where artificial intelligence is going to manipulate reality, so it's going into real life. Mainly you bring this together with the word robotics, but it is a little bit more than that. But all what have to seen with where AI is going into the real world, there are also German, Swiss, French companies especially, who are strong. Apart from that, it's one of the very few areas where also countries which are not in the US or China or European Union who are competitors, especially in East Asia. But coming back, it is, I repeat, we are talking specific branch-related platforms also to consumers. We are talking about all the business-to-business platforms, for example, logistics. We are talking about really excellent skilled workforce on all levels, which is a major problem for the United States, where they have to acquire international specialists. They have to buy it in the market. And as a consequence of the Trump administration, this purchasing power for human resources is declining. So especially workforce from Asia is taking decisions to stay there. So if that would be a strong tendency, it would bring the United States into a massive trouble because their education system is on development country level. So it is, they need to buy, of course, they have excellent universities on earth, but they have no schools, no high schools, no normal colleges which could compete with European Union standards. That is important. And China has the big advantage that they have a clear government policy on helping. For example, which is new, not new, but really new, is we're going into a metaverse on a new level where augmented reality and virtual reality is becoming the new business field. And this is dominated by United States and Chinese enterprises. Yeah. But for example, the difference is, meanwhile, in the US, it's especially one company who is investing hardly in this. In China, it is the government who has decided that Chinese companies has to invest in it. Yeah. So you see, you have different profiles, and also when you do not concentrate yourself on the question of values, and because we're not talking about what are the consequences for the labor market, what are the consequences for the working conditions, what are the consequences for societies and social systems, where the European Union, I guess, have not only more democratic, but also at the end of the day, more efficient answers than the other two competitors.
Frank, great. That was very complete. And we will continue on this channel and learn a lot of you. And so I think that was a perfect introduction, and we will see in the future more detail. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you very much, Axel. Thank you very much.